Welcome to the Drywall Solutions YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing a blowout patch. First, you want to get a measurement. Subtract 1/4 of an inch. Take your second measurement, subtract 1/4 of an inch. Now we are going to lay out our measurements for our patch. The first thing we want to do is remove the bevel of the sheetrock. The paper is really hard to remove from this part of the sheetrock. Then I lay out 2 inches for paper, then the first measurement of my patch. Then I lay out another 2 inches. This gives us paper on each side of the patch. Then I lay out 2 inches, my second measurement, and then another 2 inches for paper. I always mark the patch because sometimes I cut multiple patches at one time. Then I cut away the excess sheetrock and leave only the patch. Then, after we remove all of our sheetrock, then we will cut the other lines that we laid out for our patch. After we get these cut, what I like to do is slide it over to the edge of the table. This makes it easier to work with. And pull up on the sheetrock. This removes the sheetrock from the paper without removing the paper from the patch. Once we get this done, we have our patch. Now take it inside and test fit it. I have already test fit the patch and it fits great. So now we are going to add some mud to the wall on all 4 sides. And then a very important step is we need to, what I call, butter the edge. This is adding mud to the edge of the patch. Not the paper, but the sheetrock, the little square of sheetrock itself. This helps the patch bond to the existing sheetrock, not just the paper of the sheetrock. Once you get done this, once you get the edge all buttered up, you want to stick the patch in the hole. And then stand the knife upright and wipe. And then when you stand the knife upright, it pushes the patch flat against the wall. Do this top and bottom, and then wipe out all of the excess mud from under the paper. Once you remove all the mud from under the paper, do not over wipe it. The edges of the paper will get soft and you will tear them if you continue to. And this is what happens if you don't butter the edge. See the cracks and movement? Now that the patch is installed and the mud is dried, we're going to put a bed coat on it. First, we want to run the left-hand side, and we want to overlap the center of it by at least 1 inch to 2. And then we want to put some mud on the right-hand side. Remember to overlap the mud in the middle of the patch. Remove all edges from the mud because this is the worst part of the patch to sand if you leave a nasty edge. When wiping, tilt your knife slightly inward towards the middle. Then I'll flip the knife over and gently wipe down the middle to remove any humps in the middle. Let the thing set overnight and dry. When we go to do the next one, we only want to run the outside edges. Do not add more mud in the middle of the patch. All we want to do is skim the outside. Skim the left side and then skim the right. Make sure you leave no edges. If you are unhappy with your second coat of mud, let that dry. You can always put another coat on it the following day. Now it's time for sanding. When sanding, you want to use a uniform sanding technique. Top to bottom, left to right. Make sure you sand the whole patch. Uniform. You don't want to skip nothing. After sanding up and down, you want to go left to right. Work your way from the top to the bottom. And then back to the top. When you get to the top and you've sanded the whole patch, stop, rub it with your hand. You can feel the imperfections better than you can see them. Right there, I felt an imperfection. So I'm going to re-sand that particular area. We'll give it a once over. And then after we get done that, we're going to rub it again with our hand. And see if we feel any more imperfections. There's one right there. Let me get that. I give it a nice little rub with the sanding pole. Now let's check it again with our hand. Everything feels really smooth and looks great. Now we're ready for primer and paint.